What is up, Pyromaniacs? Pyrostasis here. We're back in the world of, I almost said Railcraft. Back in the world of Beyond Reality. Holy crap. It does feel a little like we're back in the world of Railcraft, doesn't it? Because we're pretty much focusing a whole lot on Railcraft. Alright, so we're going to be making a rolling machine today. And the problem with the rolling machine is it requires some pretty nasty pieces. You have a choice of either making a basic electronic circuit here or an electronic circuit. Either of those will work. If you go with the basic electronic circuit, you need an assembler. If you get an assembler, there's a lot of this other crap that you got to do. We don't have an assembler yet. We can't even make an assembler, so that's not an option. So we're going to have to use the electronic circuit. And this is nasty in and of itself. It's not too bad, but it is nasty. We're going to need to make some NAND chips. Now, to make a NAND chip, it requires some of these parts, but the tricky part is this red alloy. Now, to get a red alloy plate, you need a red alloy ingot. Well, actually, you need two red alloy ingots, and then you smash that into a plate, and that plate is what allows you to make the wires that we need, and we need two of these wires. The problem is, you can't find, at least for Mini I, how to make this thing. Now, I've done a little research, and I'm hoping my research is right, because if my research is right, we're in good shape. If it's not, we're screwed. So we're fixing to find out here if it works. So I believe it is 1 copper and 4 redstone. Actually, it looks like it's 6 redstone. That should get us red alloy. There you go. There is our red alloy. Now, the nice thing about this is not too bad to make. Not too bad to make at all. The problem is we're going to need a lot of this. Now, how much of our steam are we taking? This alloy smelter usually takes a hell of a lot of juice to run. Thankfully, it doesn't seem like it's taken all that much. Now, I'm making a little bit more red alloy than we need, just because I don't want to have to come back and do it again. All right, there we go. Now, let's run away. Now, one of the main, I guess I should say the main issues that I have with Greg Tech is he overcomplicates things. And this seems to be a common thing with Minecraft is we're not going to make something challenging. We're going to make something tedious. And that seems to be what a lot of people who either make Minecraft mods or play Minecraft seem to think is, you know, we're just going to make it really tedious and that's going to make it hard. No, it makes it tedious, which isn't necessarily a difficult thing. It's more of an annoyance, but I digress. That's just my opinions. Yours may differ, but I am more of a preference of challenging as opposed to just straight up tediousness. But that's me. All right, so we're going to put this in here. That's going to give us 1 red alloy wire. We need 2 per chip, I believe. All right, so now that we are in here, we've gotten 2 of those. We need a 10 wire. And 10 wire is just gotten by a 10 plate. Thankfully, I have plenty of 10, or I did. I actually have 2 10 plates right here. Well, I'm not going to complain at all about that. Thank you very much, sir. All right, so that gives us the 10 plates that we need. That's going to give us, cycle, there we go. That's going to give us all we need for 2 chips. We need 4 chips or 4 of these for each side. Okay, so now we need a steel plate to get this. So steel plates, I don't know if I still have some steel plates made up. If not, we can make some real quick. That's Damascus steel, that's graphite, that's dark steel, none of which we need. Do I have one over here? Because we've got stuff literally everywhere. There's some steel, okay. And is that steel plates? No, those are plastic sheets, okay. Not a big deal. All right, so I'm gonna need 2 of these per side, I believe. So basically what we do is we do our normal steel plate. So we go like that. That gives us that. Pop these out, and we put them over here, which gives us these, which we pop out. And then we put you here, put you here, and you there, and that gives us 1 NAND chip. We need 2 of these things per one of these. We technically need 4 of those. Damn, that is a lot of tediousness. And that's just for 1 part. Now, the other aspect is we also need some of these copper cablings. Now, you guys will remember I was working on this last time. We have the extractor over there downstairs, and we're good to go with that. Thankfully, the rest of this recipe is fairly straightforward. We need 4 4 steel plates, which is pretty easy. We need a piston, or a sticky piston. We're going to make a piston. Anvil, just 3 blocks of iron and some of that, and then the industrial steam engine, which is a little more tricky. It just needs steel plates. Thankfully, it doesn't have to have the electronic wrench. We can do a normal wrench, glass, another piston. And then the steel gears, these are a little tricky. Again, we're just getting into layers of tediousness here because you have to basically make parts to 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 make the thing that you want to make the other things that you want. And this is just going to be a file, 4 steel plates, and then the tricky part is the tin gear bushing, which is thankfully just 10 plates and those. So that's a lot of crafting. That's a lot of crafting. I'm going to set all of this up real quick. Give me a couple minutes. I'm going to get it all set up, and then we're going to make it all together one at a time so you guys can follow the whole process. All right, I think I have all of the parts that we need, I believe. All right, so we've got the anvil. You can see that. We've got the piston. We've got the other piston. We're going to start working on the tin bushing. So we need this guy here, we need this guy here, and then we need the 10 plates right there. That's going to give us 2 tin bushings. All right. So we put, oh, actually, I didn't need that many. Oh, well. And then I need a 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I believe it is you down here and you up here. And that's going to give us the steel gears. So 1, 2 steel gears. Have some extra bushings. I'm sure we will use those later on. Okay, so we've got those 2 there. Now we just need the 3 steel on top. So we click that. I was hoping it would autofill. Of course, that would be too easy, my friends. Put that up there, that there, that there. Then that's that. And what goes on the 2 sides? I think it's the NANDs, right? Nope, different part of the process. What am I missing? Ah, yes. Ah, yes. You and you. There's our industrial engine. Okay. Put you up there. Piston, anvil. There we go. And then our 2 chips. 1, 2. And then I actually made too many chips, of course. What am I doing wrong now? Damn it, Bobby. That actually should be working. Oh, shit. No. I forgot a step. I forgot a step. Whoops. Kind of a big one. Kind of a big one. All right, so we need 2 NAND chips and the copper cabling. There we go. Oof. I knew I hadn't screwed that up that badly. All right, there we go. There's those 2 chips. Put that there, that there, that there on the bottom. Good God. All of the layers on this are just ridiculous. Just absolutely ridiculous. And I'm missing something in the middle. The piston. There we go. Holy crap. There is our rolling machine in all of its beautiful glory. All right, so the question is, what type of power does a rolling machine take? Now, I'm a little hesitant to put this down on the ground because if I put it in the wrong spot, then it's going to, depending on how evil GregTech is, I may not be able to pick it back up again. So I need to, I have a feeling it's going to take RF because it usually takes RF, but he may have tweaked it to where it takes steam. And there's no real way for us to know until we slap that little bitch down. So I'm going to take it upstairs with us. We're going to go upstairs. We're going to refeed our plants because I've been using the mana to duplicate. You can see there's a lot of coal in these now. I was using it to duplicate all of our coal. I burned through pretty much like 2 mana pools almost to get all of the coal that we needed. All right, stack these up. There we go. We should have more than enough for, we may actually have enough for 2 batches. That'll give us almost half an hour of mana production. We do have enough for 2 batches. So that is a half hour of mana production. That's 2 left in each stack. Perfect. That's what we're going to use to fire up the engine upstairs. Okay, so all of that was made just so that we can make a track. Now there's a couple different things that we need to make tracks, but we're going to stick with just the iron for now to make the outlines. And you can see we need 6 for 32. So that's actually a lot, but we're going to need, I mean, we're going to be doing tracks pretty much all over the place. So we're going to need a lot of tracks. So 32s sounds like a lot, but when you start, you know, running tracks basically all the length of this room and then up there and then all the way upstairs and downstairs, you start looking at a pretty large number of tracks. So we're hoping that this is powered by RF. So I'm going to slap it right there for now. Oh, thank God it is powered by RF. I guessed correctly. Yay. Yay, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. All right, so right now, that thing, basically the way it works is it lets you keep one recipe in there. So you'll see it'll do the extras, but it's not going to do any other than the extras. Now you can force it to by clicking, but if you don't click, it won't. And that's fine. We're not really concerned with it now. I don't mind leaving some iron up here. 16 is enough to make quite a few tracks. I am going to go ahead. I guess it has gone ahead and combined these again. We're just going to throw 16 down. And all of them are gone. That's going to all feed into here for now. I need to be careful with this one on the right. I'm going to go ahead. Is that sparring? Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and fill up our mana, our little mana thing here. The reason I'm doing that is it's a possibility that we could actually fill this thing up, and I really don't want to waste the mana. Mana is kind of hard to come by. At least at the moment it is. It won't be for long, but at least at the moment it is still fairly hard to come by, so there's no reason for us to antagonize the mana gods. Come on. Jesus. There it goes, finally. Alright, now we have a nice full thing of mana, which means we can, well, that's a half mana pool right there, so we can either store it, or we can use it with our little pick here. Okay, so now that we have that aspect, that was just for one of the components that we need to do what we're doing. Now we need to come up with this other component. Now these are wooden rail ties. There's a couple different ways to make it. You can use the assembler, which we don't have. Or you can just do this, and for this you can do it a bunch of different ways. Chemical baths, which we don't have, a carpenter, which we don't have, or the shaped crafting. We're just going to go this route. Unfortunately, it's not as easy as it is in vanilla. We're going to have to make a damn saw. So any stick will do, thank God. And we have plenty of iron, so we're going to make an iron saw. If I can find the iron saw, right here. So we're just going to use a stick and an iron saw blade, and then we need 2 iron plates and those to get that. So that's not too bad, thank God. So we'll just do 2 iron plates. Those are steel plates. They don't work. There we go. And then we put those up on top, and I believe it's like this and like that. Reverse. There it goes. There's our saw blade. Now we need a stick, which we have right here. Boom. And we put you here. We put you there. And now we have our saw. Now we need wood. Thankfully, we've got 6 birch planks. That's going to give us enough to get some. Not enough. Wait, there it goes. There's birchwood slabs. We pull that out. That gives me 12. All right, so we've got a bunch in our tank downstairs. I'm going to make a new crafting table. Since we're going to be doing this a lot, we might as well take some. I was hoping I had some more wood up here, but apparently I'm going to have to go chopping. I think darkwood may work. That's a little iffy, but I'm hoping it will. We're gonna drop down. Oh, it's up a floor, isn't it? For some reason, I thought it was down a floor. Yeah, that's the top of it, so it is down here. How did I miss it? Okay, either way. Okay, so we're gonna set up our new little crafting table, assuming this will work, and of course it doesn't. That begs the question, will this work? No. So darkwood's basically fucking useless. Outstanding. Alright, so we drop this down here. That's going to give us access to that. We've already got 1 creosote bucket. So we put 3 here. And we put our bucket on top. And that gives us 1 wooden tie. 1 wooden tie. That's evil. That's evil. Now, eventually I will end up automating this process. For the first batch, I figured, what the hell, we'll just do it manually. Specifically since automating it would probably take the rest of my lifetime. There we go. So that gives us 4. We put those like there. That gives us the wooden ties. Put that like that. Put that like that. And bam. We have 32 tracks. Whew. Good God. Alright, so now that we have the tracks, and this is only part of it, we're going to be setting up a ultra basic little setup here. I'm going to do my absolute best to keep this as delicate as possible. I'm hoping I don't need any booster tracks. I believe these things kind of act as their own boosters, but I may be wrong about that. Now with this right here, I have the option of, I guess, going through here in the background or staying up front. We don't need you anymore. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your service. Piss off. There we go. And you can see 32 tracks. Did not really go as far as we thought it would. Well, I mean, it went about as far as I thought it would, but some of you at home may have thought it might go a little bit further. Oh, I have a chest card already. That's awesome. That's going to save me so much time. And I have tracks! Holy shit. We have some stuff nearby, and I believe Icy and Cyrish have gone exploring. Oh, thank God we have wood. We have so much wood. I'm so happy. All right, let's head back downstairs, and we're gonna see if we can run the rest of this track. Perfect. This may be enough, at least for this part. Yeah, it's gonna be just plenty. Okay, so from here, we've got to do a couple more things. We're gonna have to dig a track. Now, I can move my blast furnaces if I want, which is probably gonna be the easiest method. Or to save time, I can just dig out this wall one. We're gonna dig out the wall one just to save. This will be actually easier than digging this stuff out back here, because if I were to move the blast furnace, that's definitely an easy task, but it requires me to move it in such a way that it's not going to break, and I have to use what do you call it? I have to use Railcraft parts, or not Railcraft. I have to use a wrench, and using a wrench on that will pretty much take at least 2 wrenches, probably, maybe even 3, which is no bueno. No bueno. I'd rather save my wrenches and my metal, because every wrench and all those machine tools and such like that, at least until we get to the part where we can recharge them, it's gonna take materials, and materials are very precious. All right, so let's whoops, cycle these. Let's go ahead and pull a few dozen of these. We need a divisible number. Let's go with 32. That ought to work. I think 32 is divisible. Well, nope. Damn it, Bobby. And unfortunately, there's no way for me to cycle these every time. Now, I believe, I don't know, do they have the, we're gonna find out real quick. Oh, come on. Really? You're gonna make me empty my hand? A hammer that is not hammerable. That's just sad. All right, I'm hoping that they've got the craft bench upgrade, but knowing Greg Tech, he doesn't. Nope. Well, shit. That's going to make this a lot more painful. A lot more painful. All right, we're just going to make one more batch of tracks, or one more batch of ties, I guess I should say. Now, later on, there is a machine that you can get that will do this for you. And then we will probably use that in relation with the rest of the tracking system. We'll basically just tie it in. But in all honesty, I'm not sure how many more tracks we're going to need once we get this all set up, because that's pretty much going to do it for us. I mean, we won't really need many more tracks. Some of the other tracks that we are going to need, though, is we're going to need some locking tracks for each of the stations to really get going, because otherwise they're just going to... I don't have to have locking tracks here, but if without the locking tracks, they basically are just going to zip through. And with the amount of bulk creosote that we are using, we definitely don't want them just zipping through, because we need them to fill up. Because otherwise, I mean, now technically with this many, it would fill up, but we want it to fill up all the way. Now the tricky part is going to be up in here. Now we're going to do something kind of cool. Now the issue here is getting it to run up and down is going to be kind of a problem. All right, I need to make sure I go over far enough. That should be far enough. No, we're going to do 3 more. There we go. Now we come down over here, and then we're going to go down 1, and then down 1. Do out, down, down. Okay, I'm too low now. Shit. Well, damn it. That's the bottom floor. So where are my... Oh, perfect! Holy shit! That was luck. That was absolute luck. Okay, so we've got this dug, which is nice. Repeating that's going to be kind of a pain in the ass. All right, so we're going to drag this up here. And as you can see, we're not going to have anywhere near the number of tracks that we need. But you guys can see how it's going to kind of play out. Now, obviously, I'm going to duplicate this on the other side since they are, what do you call it, symmetrical. And then what we'll basically do is right here, we're going to place a locking track, which we'll build in the next video. And pretty much that cart will just run the loop forever. Now, the question is, how many tank carts are we going to need? Thankfully, we have one cart downstairs already. So basically, all I have to do is put an iron tank gauge on that cart that we already have. Building a minecart, as you can see, is a little more complicated here in Buildcraft or in GregTech than it is in other versions of Minecraft. But we got lucky. You know that ravine that our base is built on? That's where I'm assuming they got these, which is very nice for us because you can turn a normal cart back into this. We don't really need the chest, so I'm just gonna toss that for now, and then we're gonna pick this other one up. Chests are pretty easy to make. Of course, now the OCD side of me is like, well, you might need it later on. I'm like, all right, damn it, you're right. Anyways, we now have two chest carts, or two, what do you call them? Shit, where's the tanks? Tanks are over here. And I will put you in here, and we just need two. Okay, put you there, bam, there we go. And obviously I'm not going to start them yet, but I will place them over here so we can see how much they hold. So we'll just put one there and then one right behind it there. And you can see they can hold 32 buckets apiece. Damn! So basically this right here can hold 32. Each of these can hold 32. So when this is running, they will be able to take basically half of a coke oven a cycle. So I'll need two of them to start off just to get going so it doesn't take 25 minutes. But by the time it's all done, all said and done, two of them will be overkill and one of them will be able to handle it. So the flip side of this is eventually we're going to have a secondary cart here, or we're going to bust out the back wall right there and we're going to be loading coke from here. We'll have two wooden pipes pump the coke out into a loader cart, or not a loader cart, a item loader, which is going to be just like this, except it won't hold liquids, it'll hold items, and that's going to be out the back here. And then we will set that up to rock and roll there. And I'm not sure if I can get it to emit a signal when this isn't full. I don't think it's got that kind of technology. I think the advanced item filter will. But anyways, we'll have that cart out the back, and then that will take coal coke upstairs. And then right up on top here, if you guys can see, we will put a, what do you call it? An item unloader, which will run there. And then the coal, which we'll get from upstairs, will fill in on the top. So we're going to have 3 rail tracks running on one set of coke ovens. It's going to take us a while to get it all set up, and obviously it's going to take quite a few resources to do, but once it's all said and done, it's going to be amazing. But anyways, next video, we'll cover the locking tracks, and I'll show you guys how to set those up, how to build them, and hopefully we'll get all this automated. Then we'll automate the coal coke side, then we'll automate the coal side, and if all said and done by this week or next week, we'll have our boiler set up and a completely automated via Railcraft system, which will be pretty cool. The only drawback is there's going to be a lot of cart noise, which at first will be awesome, but after about an hour or two will probably slowly drive me insane, assuming I'm not already insane. Anyways, guys, hopefully you guys are digging this series. If you do, please slap that like button. Make sure you subscribe. And I'll catch you guys in the next clip.